Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, September 23, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down the comment section letting me know what the that's been like in your year recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us take a look at what the US National Hurricane Center is showing on their 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can see that we still have Tropical Storm Ophelia, which has now made landfall across portions of the eastern United States, so North Carolina, Virginia. We can also see that across the main development region we now have Tropical Storm Philippe, and we can also see that we have another area that just exited the coast of Africa that's expected to move west and then to the west northwest, probably missing the Caribbean, but we know these things go. It shows a northern movement at this time, then later down the road it shows more of a western movement. It's just a waiting game at this point. Either way, what they're saying is that a tropical wave has recently emerged off the west coast of Africa and is producing a broad area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Environmental conditions are expected to become conducive for some gradual development of this system during the middle to latter portions of next week, while it moves westward across the eastern and central tropical Atlantic. So, as stated, it's just a waiting game at this point. We know these things tend to have a forecast to move towards the west northwest, maybe becoming a fish storm, going out to sea. But we know these things can change, and then who knows, maybe it ends up going straight towards the Caribbean. Taking a look at Tropical Storm Ophelia's path, we can see it right now centered across portions of southern Virginia, and it's moving to the north at 12 miles per hour, packing maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. We can also see Tropical Storm Philippe now moving towards the west at 14 miles per hour, and it's packing winds of 40 miles per hour as well. Taking a look at the rest of the names that are left on the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season list, we can see that we have just completed Ophelia, Philippe. Now the next name is Rena, Sean, Tammy, Vince, and then Whitney. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that trough that has been affecting portions of the Greater Antilles has now pushed off towards the west, but we still have some amount of wet weather still experiencing across the Jamaica area. We can see a tropical wave that is still affecting portions of the Windward and Leeward Islands and is interacting with a trough as well. We can also see what's now Tropical Storm Philippe, which was Tropical Depression 17 earlier today. Taking a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that trough affecting portions of the Bahamas, southern Florida, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, and Dominican Republic. We can also see clouds associated with that tropical wave and trough affecting portions of the Windward and Leeward Islands at this time. Not to mention the clouds associated with Tropical Storm Philippe across portions of the main development region, as well as the clouds associated with Tropical Storm Ophelia right there spinning away across the eastern portions of the United States. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Atlantic's weather later on. Let's focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that during the afternoon on Saturday, we would have received some amount of rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. We know eastern parishes were referring to the parishes in the county of Surrey, central parishes were referring to the parishes in the county of Middlesex, and western parishes were referring to the parishes in the county of Cornwall. And considering that the upper level winds will be coming in from the southwest today, it was also predicted that we would have had more of the overcast skies, showers and thunderstorms across sections of some northern parishes, especially in Jamaica. We know northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. And what ended up happening? As early as 1:41 p.m., posts were made on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok pages highlighting the visible satellite images showing clouds bring isolated thunderstorms to sections of those very areas. So especially northern parishes, central and western parishes, eastern parishes as well. So we can see right there across sections of Portland, St. Anne, St. Mary, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon definitely gotten some amount of rainfall for today. Skipping ahead to about 3:35 p.m., we can see the infrared satellite images even better with showing the high cold cloud tops. The more colorful it gets, the deeper the convection. Not to mention the sparkling white dots that represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. So we definitely saw that afternoon convection spreading all the way across eastern, central, and western parishes, especially across some northern parishes in Jamaica. And we can also see that upper level wind blowing off those high cold cloud tops off towards the northeast, just as predicted, bringing more in the way of overcast skies, showers, and thunderstorms in sections of some northern parishes. And we can also see on the Cuban Doppler radar images, that was the last one that was posted at 4:30 p.m., highlighting the very same spots receiving rainfall. We know the greens represent some amount of moderate or light to moderate rainfall. Then the yellows represent some heavy rainfall. And we can even see that very heavy rain band coming into sections of St. Thomas and Portland in the late afternoon hours. We even had some amount of rainfall right there in the very same spots mentioned, so Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, and sections of St. James. And we even had our commenters confirming the rainfall. Winsome Foster stating, Junction, St. Elizabeth, the sun is extremely hot but the sky looks dark now and then I heard thunder. Lois Clark, North Coast 2, been raining from 1 p.m. Sahara, cool and cloudy, just landed in Kingston. DK Astrology stating, finally rain in St. Anne. Even on our Facebook page, we had commenters confirming the rainfall. Anointed Francine Ellis stating lots of rain in St. Elizabeth on and off. Stephanie Silvera stating very heavy rain thunderstorm in her area. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images for today, before the sun went down, we can see where we had more of an east-southeasterly flow across the island. Then we had those clouds building up into cumulonimbus clouds when we had that daytime heating, especially across sections of some central and western parishes. Then even in the late evening hours, we had a very heavy band of thunderstorms coming into sections of Portland and St. Thomas. And we can even see that right now on the latest infrared satellite images. So we can see where all of those clouds died down across sections of some central and western parishes. Then we still had a lot of thunderstorms coming into sections of St. Thomas and Portland. Even right now at recording hour, we still have some thunderstorm activity taking place across sections of St. Thomas and Portland. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images, we still see that we have lots of rain coming into sections of St. Thomas and Portland, lots of yellows and reds that represent some heavy rainfall. So they're definitely getting in on some strong thunderstorms across those areas as we speak. Taking a look at the accumulated precipitation from the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology website for the past 24 hours, we can see where we indeed had most of that rainfall across sections of some eastern, northern, central, and western parishes, more in the way of some northern and western parishes. Only a few areas on the south coast in the south central areas got in on some of that rainfall. Taking a look at another post that was made earlier this morning, we can see where we actually had another earthquake. And hopefully it was an aftershock and not a foreshock to a major earthquake. But the United States Geological Survey stated that we had a 3.0 minor earthquake right there southwest of Hope Bay in Portland at 10:05 p.m. on Friday night. So hopefully it was actually an aftershock and nothing too serious. We can also see that if we take a closer look at the comments from our Instagram followers, we can see that we had the confirmation of the rainfall. Joan Matalon confirming the rainfall for today, raining in Norbrook, St. James. Madam Mikhad stating consistent rain in Ocherius since 3 p.m. Robinson Cynthia stating rain in Brighton, St. Elizabeth. Apple 775508 stating Black River in St. Elizabeth at Washway. Jotty stating rain in St. Anne. Ailey Bramwell raining in Old Harbor. And Javina stating rain in Stony Hill. And even we had Nikki 2Q stating Ocharia St. Anne a flood out. So we definitely had that very heavy thunderstorm activity, especially across northern Jamaica. Alright, so let's just take a look at the temperatures right now. We can say we have 29 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And as we take a look at about 3 a.m., 4 a.m. actually, on Sunday morning, we shall see the temperatures getting lower to about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can still see Jamaica embedded in all of those orange colors that represent some amount of above normal temperatures. We know that represents up to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures, and we know that for the month of September in Jamaica, we usually receive up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the equivalent of 32 degrees Celsius when we take a look at the thermometer. So if we should be receiving up to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures for Sunday, it should be anywhere from 32 to 35 degrees Celsius. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can still see that we have some hint of dry air as indicated by the yellows to the south of Jamaica, not so much dry air across Jamaica at all. As relates to the siren dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Sunday, nothing in the forecast for that time across Jamaica. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that for the most part, the southern and eastern side of the island should be getting in on those dark blue colors that represent 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, while it's the western portion of the island that are going to be getting in on that 0.5 of a meter wave heights. And we see that on both the Euro and the GFS malls, and that's due to the fact that the winds are going to be the weakest on the western side of the island, as the strongest winds are going to be coming in from the east southeast for tomorrow, averaging 15 to 20 knots. But where does all of that air pile up? We can see all of that air piling up, especially across northern and western parishes in Jamaica. So we might have all of those cumulus clouds forming, then becoming cumulonimbus clouds across sections of some northern and western parishes. And with the upper level wind shear coming in from the southwest again, we might see something similar to what happened today. More of that thunderstorm activity across sections of some eastern, northern, and western parishes in Jamaica, just like what we saw today. Taking a look at the rain forecast for tomorrow, we do see the consensus. We're looking for consensus. We're looking for where we see the rainfall on both the Euro and the GFS malls, and we do see the consensus with some blues across sections of some eastern parishes at 7 a.m. on Sunday. So definitely some rainfall on the GFS and the Euro model for maybe sections of St. Thomas and Portland at that time. Skipping ahead to about 10 a.m. Jamaica time, we can see that we have more blues across sections of St. Thomas and Portland, even spilling into sections of St. Andrew. And we see something similar on the Euro model, even although the Euro is a bit more robust, showing more of those blues across sections of some central western parishes at that time. But we're working with consensus, and we see the consensus across sections of eastern Jamaica. Skipping ahead to about 2 p.m. Jamaica time, we do see some differences being shown on both models. Let's start with the GFS. GFS is still showing, and it's actually making more sense like what we saw on the wind forecast. Blues that represent rainfall across sections of some eastern parishes, northern parishes, and western parishes, just like what we predicted, considering the wind flow that we're going to be having, the lower level winds and the upper level winds. What about the Euro model? We can see those blues that represent rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. Not so much across eastern parishes. Looks like all of that rainfall is displaced on the sea. But definitely, we do see the consensus. Definitely some western and northern parishes. Not so much some south central parishes. But definitely worth watching at that time. And we can see that most of the rainfall has died down on the Euro model by about 4 p.m. Jamaica time. But we do see some spotty blues that represent rainfall, but it's even more robust on the GFS. Basically the same spots that we saw the rainfall eastern, northern, and western parishes, maybe starting to incorporate some sections of some south central parishes in Jamaica. So we'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, both the Euro and the GFS accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 24 hours all the way up until 10 p.m. on Sunday show rainfall in the forecast for eastern, central, and western Jamaica. With the Euro model a bit less robust than the GFS, up to 0.66 of an inch of rainfall being predicted, especially across eastern Jamaica. The Euro is a bit more robust with the rainfall totals, showing up to 0.68 of an inch of rainfall across northern Jamaica. So we'll see exactly what unfolds with that. We're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting in on that rainfall. We're in the month of September. We're in our primary rainy season. Both Kingston and Montego Bay usually receive an increase in the amount of rainfall that we get for this month. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put some kind of a dent in the hydrological drought that we're currently experiencing, and hopefully October brings more rain than September. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see that we do indeed have some amount of rainfall across sections of Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, sections of Puerto Rico got in on some of that today. Even sections of the Bahamas got in on some of that rainfall as well. Not to mention the Leeward Islands, and if we even take a look at the Doppler radar images of the Leeward Islands for today, we can see where we indeed had that rainfall coming into sections of Puerto Rico and the surrounding islands right here. So this is a look at the Doppler radar images right now, and we do see that Martinique, Dominica, Munster, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Bart's definitely getting in on some amount of rainfall. The greens we know represent light to moderate rainfall, and we even see some yellows in there that represent some heavy rainfall. So definitely some more rainfall is expected across those spots. As we take a look at the Barbados radar, we do see some rainfall coming into section of eastern Barbados at this time. Majority of the heaviest rainfall though is passing to the north of Barbados. We can see some coming into sections of Trinidad and Tobago right now, and we can also see that rainfall that we just saw across sections of Martinique, Guadeloupe and Dominica, as we saw on the satellite images prior. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see all of that rainfall across the eastern Caribbean. We can see some rainfall across sections of Florida, just like what we saw in the satellite images. Some rainfall across sections of Honduras, Belize, northern Guatemala, and sections of Mexico at this time. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see even up to 4 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures across majority of the Caribbean for Sunday, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS malls. But we do see the res represent even up to 5 to 6 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures across sections of northern and South America and sections of Mexico, not to mention sections of Texas and the south central United States. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Sunday, we do see some slight browns that represent some hazy weather to be experienced across sections of some eastern Caribbean islands. Majority of this most vigorous dust should be where we have those darker shades of browns across sections of the eastern Mediterranean region and Africa. Taking a look at the wave forecast, we do see that majority of the Caribbean should be receiving a 1.5 meter wave height, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS mall, and that's due to the fact that the winds are going to be coming in from the east, averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 knots, maybe even 25 knots, especially where we see those yellows to the south of Hispaniola, not to mention those yellows across the area where we have Tropical Storm Philippe. Taking a look at the rain forecast for tomorrow, we do see more rainfall in store for sections of Florida, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Cuba, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Leeward Islands, anywhere from Guadeloupe southwards to Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, sections of Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. Not so much rainfall across sections of French Guyana or Suriname, but we do see the consensus, maybe some rainfall for Guyana, rain definitely for Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize and Mexico. I know that when both maps are showing something similar like this, the chance of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.